And you have to admit last night that when you saw the notices starting appearing on Twitter and at the bottom of TV screens that the FBI was conducting a raid at Mar-a-Lago, you had to feel a gleeful sense of relief. I know you did. I certainly did. It may be a big, smoke grenade, though, when you get right down to it. Yes, they were looking for documents that the Trump scum bastard stole in violation of the law when he left the White House in defeat and shame. But when I saw what was being reported before I had a chance to listen in depth to the reporting, I just felt like, well, maybe finally this filthy, scum-sucking Donald Trump is going to meet the bar of justice and the law will be fulfilled. Not yet. I just wish the fucker would die. I know, I'm serious. I really do. I'm not getting into imprecatory prayer right here because I don't believe in that bullshit. But I just wish he would keel over dead. Just fucking drop, Donald. Honest to God, please. I mean, let your family celebrate your death, which they probably will. It'll be private, of course. But my God, how much damage can one person do? I think we're seeing how much. Political damage, emotional damage, psychological damage to this country, in addition to engineering the destruction of the United States. And still this fucker walks free. He still bounces around Manhattan and Bedminster, New Jersey, and goes down to his shithole in Mar-a-Lago when the spirit moves him. Still shows up at political rallies where he supports these Christian terrorists with his lies, and they suck up to him as though there was somebody they wanted to deliver oral sex to him just to get his goddamn endorsement. Okay, calm down. What's a federal search warrant? That's what was used to get into the nest of Donald Trump. Here's an answer. Federal law enforcement officials get these sorts of search warrants, federal search warrants, when they need to move quickly on a criminal investigation or when they're concerned that material that they need for the investigation they're conducting might be in danger of being moved or concealed or destroyed. Yeah. Trump? Oh, he would never do that. Now, the request for one of these federal search warrants is made by federal law enforcement agency, any federal law enforcement agency, if officials conclude that information, and that could be documents or electronic devices, phones, whatever, information related to a criminal investigation can be found at somebody's residence or business or car or other property. Just like you remember Michael Cohen, Trump's fixer, who, when all this horror began, when Michael Cohen's office and home was raided, right? And it's happened many times. When they feel that there is information with the federal government, an agency, law enforcement agency conducting an investigation, if they feel that what they're investigating may be covered up or documents destroyed, then they go before a judge to get a warrant. Now, a search warrant in and of itself, it's not an indication or an accusation of the guilt of the person's home or business that they're searching. However, when law enforcement secures a warrant like this, it does indicate a sense of prosecutorial urgency and is used according to the Justice Manual. That's the department's official guidebook on criminal procedure, Justice Department. The Justice Manual says it's used only when, quote, it appears that the use of a subpoena, summons, request, or other less intrusive alternative means of obtaining the materials would substantially jeopardize the availability or usefulness of the materials sought, end quote. So in other words, they don't go for a subpoena or a summons or any of that bullshit or a letter requesting specific items for their investigation because they know that the target of the investigation, in this case, let's be fucking real here. The target is Donald Trump. They know that the target of the investigation will immediately move to destroy, alter, hide, burn, whatever the documents or the items being sought. So that's why they get the warrant. Now, here's the thing. Neither the Justice Department nor the FBI, neither one has the authority to act on its own. A federal judge, so I'm pointing this out because we have two branches of government involved in this, the executive and the judicial. So a federal judge or a federal magistrate has to approve the request for this warrant. And the judges often, if not all the time, demand very specific limitations on the search because what the judges are trying to do is protect the target's Fourth Amendment rights against unlawful search and seizure. And they want to make sure before they grant the warrant that the warrant is item specific, you might say. This is what you may look for, nothing else, unless there is a caveat to that. And if in open sight are indications of other criminal activity, that can be seized. In other words, they can't go into the Orange Vomit's house and look in the drawer next to his bed unless the warrant says you may look in the drawer next to his bed, no matter what's in there. But if in their search they see lying on the bed, say, documents that are obviously pertaining to some sort of crime, and Donald Trump has committed legions of crime, if that document's there, may not be what they're looking for, but if they see it and it's obviously part of a criminal act or conspiracy, they can take that too. Now, law enforcement agencies also have got to meet certain legal benchmarks that have been decided over decades. None of this shit means anything to Trump or these fascist Christian terrorists who cluster around him like flies around a shit pile. But before a judge can sign off, there has to be certain legal benchmarks that have got to be met. First, the law enforcement agency that's wanting the warrant has got to prove probable cause. And that is, the way this is defined, evidence that the search is likely to find evidence of illegality. They got to prove it. And if the warrant is found to lack such proof, the search is considered unlawful under a rule or precedent that was set in 2004. So they have to prove probable cause that the search is likely to find evidence of a crime. And in addition, the courts have ruled that a search warrant should describe the location and nature of the search with what is called particularity. That's the word they use. And that's to prevent agents from misusing a warrant to conduct a search that goes beyond the parameters of what they specifically requested. So I mention this because I didn't know this until I got the information. But I mention it because the scum-sucking Christian terrorists in the legislative branch of government now are screeching and squeaming and farting and shitting themselves about an illegal or this or a violation of that or weaponization of the Justice Department, which is all rhetorical bullshit. But this is what Christian terrorists do. Some of the scum who have gathered around this filthy goddamn Trump had some things to say. Jim Jordan, the voyeur prick who ignored the sexual molestation of athletes at Ohio State University when he was a wrestling coach there. Jim Jordan said on the Fox Sewer last night, "We deserve answers now. We deserve answers now." Jim Banks, who is a Republican of Indiana and the chairman of the Republican Study Committee, was all set to bring a group of that committee's members to meet with the Orange Vomit, a dinner that was planned before a speech that the Orange Vomit was going to give at his Bedminster, New Jersey golf club. But it turns out that this was seen as an opportunity for these Christian terrorists in the House Republican Conference to once again demonstrate support, how much they loved and would suck Donald Trump into their very goddamn hearts and stomachs if they could. Jesus. Now, this meeting that they were all going to go to so they could suck around Donald Trump at Bedminster was first reported by Punchbowl News. The Bedminster dinner was the latest sign of the Christian terrorists seizing on the FBI search as a rallying cry just before the midterm elections because they said the raid was an act of government intrusion. Ah! And they found an easier way to defend this filthy goddamn Trump than they ever settled on during the January 6 hearings. You know, as that steady drumbeat, that avalanche of evidence came out during the hearings so far about the criminality of this fuckwad, all the Republicans could do, all the Christian terrorists could do is whine and bitch and moan or be quiet. Now, all of a sudden, they had a rallying point. And the lead dumb fuck in all this, well, of course, was Kevin McCarthy, the House Minority Leader, Christian terrorist down to the soles of his goddamn feet. And he said if the Republicans win back the House this November, they're going to start conducting hearings on the Justice Department. And in a statement, this Catholic fuckhead said this, quote, Attorney General Garland, preserve your documents and clear your calendar. I mean, the arrogance of these Christians is just beyond belief. But this is what they've done for 1,800 fucking years. This is what they do. This is your land? No, I'm sorry, red man. Get the fuck out of the way. God gave this to us. It's called manifest destiny. Get the fuck out of here. Black Africans, you don't like being slaves? Too fucking bad. It says in the Bible, in our Bible, you're to obey us. We're white. We're your leaders. We're your owners. Shut the fuck up and go chop cotton. I mean, all over the world, this has been going on. So the arrogance displayed by Kevin McCarthy is just in keeping with what Christian terrorists do and have done. And then Elise Stefanik, another little Christian bitch terrorist, the Republican of New York, who is now number 3, took over Liz Cheney's position in the Republican hierarchy in the House. She said in a statement that Trump was, quote, the likely 2024 Republican candidate for president of the United States. And Joe Biden has weaponized the Justice Department against a political opponent. You fucking lying bitch, you. You know goddamn good and well that's not true. There is indication that even Biden didn't even know about this. Weaponizing the Justice Department. You fucking moron, Stefanik. If you didn't have the head of your Christian terrorist cult organization, a serial criminal, this shit wouldn't happen. But never mind. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.